The death of Prigozhin has mixed implications for the Putin administration, beneficial in the short term, but potentially damaging in the long run. Here's why. In the short term, Putin's government managed to eliminate a significant internal threat, making an example for others to witness. Yet, in the grander scheme of things, this act might tarnish the administration's credibility among the populace, especially among those who support Wagner and are skeptical of the Russian Ministry of Defense. The way Prigozhin was dealt with, not through a transparent trial but rather political machinations followed by a political crackdown, could weaken Putin's leadership image and overall political stability. Moreover, if Putin did not personally direct this action, it implies potential fractures within his administration. One might wonder, did Putin agree with such a move? If someone in his circle can act so drastically without his direct knowledge, what other acts might they commit? This only amplifies the internal rifts within the Putin administration. The brutal nature of political infighting is glaringly evident here. After the June 26 mutiny, Prigozhin remained active in various circles. On July 19, he even appeared publicly, musing about the future. Little did he know he was being closely watched, only to meet a tragic end in an air crash on August 23, alongside other top Wagner officials. The unfolding of events becomes clearer as we look at the timeline. In early 2023, intense battles raged between Ukraine and Russia over the city of Bakhmut. The Russian side was mainly represented by Wagner's mercenaries. By early May, Wagner had essentially occupied Bakhmut but was reported to have suffered heavy losses. On May 2, Yevgeny Prigozhin complained about ammunition shortages, leading to an announcement on May 10 of Wagner's withdrawal from Bakhmut due to this shortage. The ensuing political fallout was significant. For months leading up to this, there had been ongoing friction between Prigozhin and the top brass of the Russian military, with massive losses suffered by Wagner and a lack of cooperation from regular Russian forces being primary concerns. In a publicized video on Telegram, Prigozhin, using rather strong language, accused Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov of providing 70% less ammunition than what Wagner required. Soon after, Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya, publicly defended Prigozhin on Telegram, condemning the inaction of the Russian defense leadership. By May 7, announcements were made regarding the resumption of artillery ammunition supply to Wagner forces, with Sergei Surovikin acting as an intermediary between Wagner and the Defense Ministry. As the month went on, conflicts between Wagner and the regular Russian military escalated. Prigozhin publicly criticized the regular Russian military for fleeing positions and stated that his forces were given only 10% of the promised ammunition, leading to heavy losses. By May 18, tensions became more evident as Prigozhin mentioned that the regular Russian military had pulled back, leaving Wagner's flanks exposed to Ukrainian forces. On May 24, Prigozhin stated that over 20,000 Wagner mercenaries had died in the Bakhmut campaign, half of whom were prisoners. The criticisms towards the Defense Ministry became even fiercer. On June 10, Defense Minister Shoigu declared that the ministry would sign contracts with all unofficial armed forces by month's end, targeting Wagner to essentially bring them under control. Prigozhin countered this on June 11, declaring that Wagner would not sign any such contracts. The climax of this tension was reached on the night of June 23 to 24, when Prigozhin called for Wagner soldiers to push towards Moscow, seemingly attempting a coup. Following mediation by Belarusian leader Lukashenko, Prigozhin fled to Belarus on June 26, marking the end of the mutiny. By June 29, a meeting was held between Putin and Prigozhin in the Kremlin, albeit the relationship had visibly soured by then. Subsequently, Prigozhin remained active in Russia, naive to the fact that his days were numbered. Tragically, on August 23, he, along with top Wagner officials, perished in a plane crash. Such internal power struggles often climax in times of crisis. With Russia essentially failing in achieving a swift victory over Ukraine and the country embroiled in an economically draining war, it's clear that all is not well. As the war drags on, Russia's socio-economic situation becomes precarious. With this backdrop, any act of perceived treachery within the ruling class cannot be tolerated. The need for stability and peace at home and aggressive negotiation tactics on the international stage has become the modus operandi of the Putin administration.